His Stryker Brigade will be deployed on September 11th, and that's coming up here shortly. And I think if we're fighting it all over foreign supplies of energy, when domestically here in America, Alaska has the energy supplies that could, as we progress with more developments, replace some of those supplies, we better not be at war over this.
And I just want to promise you this, my friends, I will have an energy policy that we will be talking about, which will eliminate our dependence on oil from the Middle East, that will then prevent us from having ever to send our young men and women into conflict again in the Middle East.
The national security interests of America.
Well, Iran has made little secret of its desire to gain hegemony in the region of the Persian Gulf, the critical oil and natural gas producing region that we fought so many wars to try and protect our economy and from the adverse impact of losing that supply or having it available only at very high prices. The critical oil and natural gas producing region that we fought so many wars to try and protect our economy and from the adverse impact of losing that supply or having it available only at very high prices.
Despite previously being adamant it wasn't a reason for going to war in Iraq, the federal government now says oil is one of the reasons Australian troops are staying there. Launching the government's latest defence update, the Prime Minister says energy security, including oil, is something Australians need to think about when considering the consequences of a premature withdrawal from Iraq.
First, it was about weapons of mass destruction. Then it was terrorism. Now, oil has become a reason for the war in Iraq.
Obviously, the Middle East itself, not only Iraq, but the entire region, is an important supplier of energy, oil in particular.
Today, the Prime Minister launched Australia's latest defence update, and securing oil supplies from the trouble region is highlighted as justification for staying the course.
Many of the key strategic trends I have mentioned, including terrorism and extremism, challenging demographics, WMD aspirations, energy demand and great power competition, converge in the Middle East.
It wasn't always the way.
Prime Minister, has oil got anything to do with this conflict?
No, I don't believe for a moment it has.
I think Mr Howard makes it up as he goes along on Iraq. When Mr Howard was asked back in 2003 whether this war had anything to do with oil, Mr Howard said, in no way did this war have anything to do with oil.
What is this war about?
What it was about is I was always of the opinion that Saddam Hussein was on a very dangerous path. You could watch what he was doing in the 30 years. He was confronting Iran, then invaded Kuwait, was threatening Saudi Arabia, and it was very evident to me that his goal was the Straits of Hormuz, which is where 17, 18, 19 million barrels a day of the world's crude oil goes out to the markets. Anyone who controls the Straits of Hormuz can shut down the industrial structure of the West. And I always was very much concerned about that. My view was taking out Saddam Hussein was a very important thing. So my view of the war was, yes, it was about oil. And I thought that there were weapons of mass destruction.
Alan Greenspan says in his book that, yeah, of course this war is about oil and et cetera, and he said that to someone at the White House who said, we're not allowed to talk about oil. I think this war should have been about oil. I wish it was about oil. We got to have lower gas prices. Why would the Bush administration say to him, we can't talk about oil as we prosecute this war? But the deeper question, I know we're out of time, I don't know what would be wrong with having a war over oil. That's a strategic, I mean, that's in our strategic interest. What would be, I mean, isn't that the whole point of war is to advance our interests? No, I know. It's just they're so liberal over there at the White House. It drives me crazy.